Hey, it's Bill, and you're tuned into the Pennsylvania Rock Show, episode number 655 on PARockShow.com, MegaRockRadio.net, and 107.1 FM KFGD St. Louis, Missouri. Rootaroo Radio on the beaches of San Diego, California. XRPRadio.co.uk in the Highlands of Scotland. OldiesXL.com in Philadelphia. Right here in the thriving metropolis of Leechburg, Pennsylvania, buildthescene.com/radio. This is the Pennsylvania Rock Show. With me tonight is Mike from Strike True Promotions, right? Strike True Promotions. I almost said productions.
It's loose.
What's up, Mike?
Nothing too much, Bill. Thank you for so much for having me on. I super appreciate the opportunity. Really cool show.
Thank you. So let's start off with, what do you do as Strike True Promotions? What, like, give us a broad paintbrush.
Get locals paid. I mean, that was the number one mission. We try to find local bands that are down to gig or haven't gigged much, and we try to find rooms that fit. And we try to push and hustle that event as hard as we can so those bands can get paid. We don't really think that just starting out or being new is an excuse to not get paid for what you do. So we're just trying out there, just kind of put money in bands' pockets, see what we can do.
Cool. I saw you do a flyer dump yesterday. Do you want to mention some of those shows?
Yeah, we super fortunate. Last year was our first year, so this year we had a lot of interest built, and in the first month we were able to book like 11 shows for the coming year. We book a lot of stuff out of Greensburg, Pennsylvania, a small room called the Green Beacon. Bunch of different locals coming through there. Disease of the Mind, got debuts that have never played there before. Folks like Bombcat, Porters, old friends coming back like Place Blame and Grave Birth. Like a lot of really exciting stuff going on. I think there was 7 events in that dump or something. I'm losing track.
I clicked on it and I sent it to myself in Messenger, and then, as you know, I kind of was running behind tonight. I was at Music from the 412 studio, working on another part of that project that I'm not going to announce tonight, but it's going to be pretty cool.
All right.
And for some reason, I thought it was going to take me 40 minutes to get home, not 50.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
But, yeah, you call yourself DIY, and, what are some of the other venues that you've worked with?
We've done Southside VFW. That was a little bit of a rough environment. I first started booking shows back in 2008 and did a lot of stuff in Beaver County, Fallout Shelter, some other small rooms. Kind of got away from it for a long time. And then when Green Beacon popped up, that's become such an awesome opportunity. That's pretty much where we primarily booked this round. Since we've been Strike True, we've only really booked Green Beacon because it's been so conducive to what we're doing. It's been awesome. This coming year, we're going to branch out. We've talked to some other rooms like the Funhouse of Mr. Smalls, 222 Ormsby, other places that we consider DIY, right? Means that you could dry email them without having to be a company or a bunch of money in your pocket and say, can I get a hold on a date? And they'll work with you. They'll work with guys like me that just have, a Facebook page and a $50 bill and some friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Green Beacon, where is that in Greensburg exactly? Like, everyone knows where the courthouse is. Where would you describe it from there?
I could see that courthouse from their back steps. So I'm not from that town. So in my mind, when I come there, the beginning of that town is like the hospital side.
Okay.
So when you're coming from the hospital, you enter right into the middle of downtown Greensburg. Green Beacon on your left is like one of those first buildings, right, where there's like a tattoo shop before you even get to the first main intersection. That main intersection I'm talking about is if you would make a left, it goes out towards like Seton Hill. There's that big Sunoco right there. It's right on the very first block. What's that tattoo spot? Unique Ink is right there. They've been there for a long time. That's normally a good landmark for people.
I'm trying to picture it in my head. I usually come from the other direction. Oh, it's on Pittsburgh Street.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you're coming from the other direction, there's that other Sunoco that's on the way out of town. We're just like a block over from that, towards the hospital.
There. So right there. South Main. No one's looking at this map with me. I got to remember that's dead air. Yeah, I have a general idea where that is. Looking at this,
cap, indoor, outdoor, low overhead, sound systems there. They let us book any genre. If you have 3 metal bands, they'll book it. If you have 3 polka bands, they'll book it. They've been really cool to us.
So Nathan from Theriaca is watching us right now, and you'd probably be interested in what he says there. Funhouse is an awesome spot. My man Justin Rager, who I know, has been telling me about Strike True. Excited to have a company like Yins working for bands in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he's the guy sitting around BSing with Dustin about local shows, what's good about it, what we didn't like about it. He's the guy we started this with. He's been integral since the very start.
I can't think of the name of his company. It's in the Mon Valley.
Yeah, he's down in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Great spot. Great place to skate, grab some fun gifts and whatnot. So sitting around that was like the, the early days of Strike True going, what really sucks about local shows? You do that different. We did it different. It was pretty easy.
I met him, in 2008. So he was still a kid.
Yeah. Gotta keep up. Voice the energy.
His brother was playing a show that I was putting on for a local kid who's not a kid anymore that I taught that needed a liver transplant. And you probably know her.
Yeah.
Alicia, does that ring a bell? Yep. Yeah. I taught her and her sister at elementary school.
Yes.
And
Octane days, because he talks about that period of time. I missed all that. Is that when Club Octane was a thing down there?
Oh, I don't know. I don't live in that area. I just teach there. But yeah, that was wow. He really was like he was maybe 13 or 14, maybe a little older, 15, somewhere in there. I was not.
You were only 16, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. 14 years ago. I was in my 30s.
Not bad. Still on 2 feet.
There was no gray.
I don't have that either, don't.
But yeah, his brother was in Meaning in the Static was the name of the band then, with Tommy Horner, who is currently in Ghosts of the Day, I think is the name of his band. Ghost of that's terrible. Ghost of something.
Yeah, Justin was telling me about a lot of that guy's early kind of thing. He did like the old horror punk project, I think he was showing me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, that was them. They called themselves Mitzcore.
Yes.
Meaning in the Static Core.
That's awesome. Maybe we can dig some of these folks back up and get them moving again.
Now I feel like I have to play that one of their songs on this episode.
Perfect reason.
Now I have to dig it up. I know I have it. I just have to find it. So you said you have about 11 shows booked right now? Yep.
Yeah.
You happen to have that information on you?
Like dates and whatnot?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 second, grab a whole rundown. Whoa, some of the stuff I'm more excited about. March 11th coming up is some of my favorite heavier locals. We got Place Blame, Grave Birth, Bloody Run, which is a new project that just started. They're going to be on that bill. They're super exciting. Just looking down at my notes, February 18th, I have Backbiter coming back. They're an incredible hardcore band. The Trainwreck Tour kicks off with us on the 24th, on April 24th.
I know those guys too.
Ruffians, Scallywags, the whole lot of them.
I met them at Black Forge the first time.
Another great spot we've had our eye on, and we're doing a thing there. They're gonna kill me because I can't immediately see it. 3-4 is gonna be is our first show over at Black Forge with Leprosy, so we really stoked to work with Legendary.
This is becoming a theme here. I also know them. I've taken pictures of Leprosy and Trainwreck. Leprosy, I took pictures for. It was Deutschtown, and Trainwreck was at Black Forge. So
Nice.
and I play. You're like building my playlist already. We'll throw them on there too.
Damn, Leprosy and Sathanis are two local bands that I sometimes can't believe are locals to this area. But I'm like,
Yeah.
these are like metal legends that are just like, at the Subalpine for a couple bucks. You just got to get out and go do it.
We'll throw Josh at the Subalpine.
Yes.
How have we not ran into each other?
I feel like we had to have occupied the same room at some point. Some drunken blast beats and probably didn't realize, like, for sure. Shout out to Josh. He's been doing incredible work down there. That's been going years and years now. Excellent place to go see some metal. Better stage than when it started. It's awesome.
What? You have some more shows before I move on? I want to skip over anybody.
The biggest one, and it's kind of been like a funny exercise for all of us. We hooked up with the band The Karens, which are a newer punk band, to bring the Murder Junkies 614, the legendary Gigi Allen backing band from way back in the day, are doing a 30th anniversary tour for Gigi's death. And we full-heartedly took that on, so we'll see. We're excited to see how that pans out. It's probably going to be a ripper. Pretty stoked for that one. That's the biggest show we have on deck here, name-wise, so far.
And that's also Green Beacon?
Yeah. Yeah, we have one at Black Forge this year so far, and then like in the coming summer you'll see some Ormsby dates. That's not too far in advance, but that should be announced soon. Gonna get that going.
So we have Nathan piping in about playing with Leprosy a couple times, and Chris Thunderwolf Dotson is here. Wolf's Customs. If you are not familiar with him, he does custom work on instruments. He and his wife, they do custom finishes. And you can find them at wolfscustoms.info, if I remember correctly, which is, again, terrible. He sponsors Build the Scenes radio station. So if I do not have that correct, Chris, remind me and I'll mention it again.
Awesome projects.
So let me ask you some of the odd questions. And are you a musician yourself?
I took high school band and I did a couple records on a laptop, and I don't rightfully see myself as a musician. Like, a music adjacent, but if you handed me a guitar, I couldn't do a power chord. I couldn't, you know what I mean? So no.
Well, you already played more than I have. But that gives me an idea which questions I can ask and which ones I need to adjust a little bit. All right, so you're leaving one of the shows that you booked, and there's a DeLorean sitting outside with its door up in the air and a flux capacitor in the back seat. Where are you going in time, and what band are you going to hang out with while you're there?
We're going straight back to early 90s Texas, and we're hanging out with the Butthole Surfers. We're going hard. We're finding Gibby Haynes. I've always loved bands that add a little bit of the weird or unexpected, and I think some of those early local shows, as non-music as they were, would be a blast. I'd be heading back there for sure.
Hey, so you can invite anyone in the history of the world to sit down to dinner with you. 4 people.
Oh.
They can be currently living, or they could have passed on. What 4 people are you going to have sit down at that dinner table with you?
Oh man, that's fantastic. I wish I could have prepped for that a little bit. I'll cheat and add Gibby Haynes because he's already on deck. Seems like a fun dude to have dinner with. I'll say also Tom Waits, because we're having dinner at a diner. You gotta have Tom Waits. I'll even steal further and take his partner from the film Coffee and Cigarettes and throw Iggy Pop in the mix. And then you know what? I'll steal from that movie again and say Bill Murray. I'll take that. I'll do Tom Waits, Bill Murray, Gibby Haynes, and Iggy Pop. Let's rock.
All right. So this next question is quickly becoming one that I ask everybody. But I'm going to tweak it a little bit. I need to know what the best pizza is that you've had that you can somehow relate to what you do in the music scene. So was it at a show, on your way to a show, on your way home from a show? or maybe you were at a studio with a band that was recording, something along those lines.
I'd say the best slice of pizza is when I got with my current partner Val at a spot in Lawrenceville, and the show was so good. I don't recall what show we were at, and the pizza spot was so awesome. I remember enjoying it in the stoop across the street in a closed building. There was no going anywhere to enjoy that pizza. It was the next stoop, and we were done. Val remembers it was a Bear Skull show. I'll believe that it was definitely that for sure. But it was like a block up from Ham Bones on the right, and there was no getting that pizza to anywhere other than the next alley for sure.
If I'm going to tweak this question too. So there is an apocalyptic event, and it wipes out all but a handful of people on Earth. And it only leaves one song from every band that has ever been together. What local band would you want? Like, what local band and song do you think should survive to help repopulate the Earth? And you can read into that question however you would like, but remember that PG-13 rating that I talk about.
Yeah. I would say, what local band would I use? I would say I would use the entire Echo Lightwave Speak catalog. This is a dude that assembles sound making devices and instruments out of other stuff, and the sounds he get out of that is very much like crawling out of the ashes, post-apocalyptic feel. So I would definitely use him as a soundtrack.
I'm gonna need you to say his name again though, because it kind of went robotic when you said it.
He is Echo Lightwave Unspeakable, and I would definitely encourage people to check out his socials. He, like I said, he makes like these handmade sound instruments. Right? I saw a synth he made from wiring hot dogs together and then moving the hot dogs against each other to play that synth. So if there's anyone that can make music after the end of the world, it's going to be
definitely him.
Put together soup cans and distortion pedals and get music going again for sure. It'll be him.
I don't know your age, and I'm trying to guess before I do this, but I'm going to do an either or. I'm going to give you two things. You have to pick one. You ready?
Yeah, I'm down. And I'm 22, by the way.
Oh, yeah. So we'll see how well this goes.
I'm very confident.
Ozzy or Dio?
Oh, different reasons though. Like as Sabbath or as just music forever?
You're telling me.
Ozzy as Sabbath, Dio as music forever. Dio's voice over Ozzy technically, but there is no Sabbath without Ozzy, so like that boggles my mind.
Okay. Sammy or David Lee Roth?
I don't listen to a lot of Kansas. I don't really know the lineup of that band. I don't know.
Kansas is Van Halen.
Oh, what was their hit?
Yeah.
I'll say Hagar.
Hot for Teacher. There you go. Sammy Hagar. Yeah.
I really liked the Right Now video as a kid. I thought that was super cool. Before I knew anything about that band or the whole dichotomy of that. So I'll make everybody cringe, and that'll be my answer.
I don't know if I could name a single Kansas song, which is terrible, but I'm sure I know them. It just doesn't link in my brain.
This is the episode they're watching too, so this is horrible.
Okay. I'm gonna tweak again. This is gonna be a tweaked version of the official Build the Scene question. The question normally is, it's Dave Grohl is the question. Who's your Dave Grohl? But it's who would you want to go up on stage with and perform one of their original songs? I'm going to tweak it a little bit and say, who would you want to book at one of your shows that is a big name?
Oh, Um, I adore the new wave of folks that are doing like the industrial and dark wave stuff. They're not like a huge name by numbers, but there's a band Boy Harsher that I would kill to book. Maybe a band like Horror or Author and Punisher, like one of those names. So definitely something in that vein. An industrial band bigger than a room I can get a hold of for sure to do their production right.
Hey, Chris, you're right. I definitely know Carry On My Wayward Son, but I 100% would not have put Kansas' name and that track together in my head. It's just not going to work. Lots of things that aren't clicking these days.
Post COVID. It's post COVID.
Rocky from Music from the 412 and I were standing in one room in the studio. He asked me something. I said, I'm going to go in the other room and I'll look it up. And I walked in the other room and I walked back out. I said, what was I looking up again?
It's gone. Yeah, through the door frame, it's gone. There's a magic to that for sure.
Let's see. Oh, you're sitting on a bench, much like Forrest Gump with his box of chocolates, and someone comes along and sits down beside you. And instead of you telling a story, you're going to ask that person who happens to be a musician one question and hope they tell you a story. Who's sitting down next to you and what question are you going to ask them?
Ooh, excellent. I'm just gonna sit down. I'm gonna sit down with Gary Newman, and I'm gonna ask him why he put that guitar down and chose that Moog so early on. Because there had to have been a moment when rock and disco was super prevalent, and that dude just went hard field, and that was definitely a moment that literally created genres, right? Like those early records were sampled by techno artists and hip hop artists and stuff. Like I would ask him, like, what about that stupid keyboard was the end of the world for you? It was, you know what I mean, the beginning of this entire career.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Cool. See, this is where my weird questions get difficult because they're all geared towards musicians. What is the most embarrassing thing you've seen happen on stage to a band?
Ooh. Oh well, okay. It didn't happen to them, but I'll tell you an embarrassing story, and I'll try to leave out enough details to not like put
Yeah, we
this on
don't
it.
want to. Yeah.
I work stagehand for a kind of big company that throws shows in Pittsburgh. And I was working for a lady that was a contestant or winner on a show that's based on your singing talents, right? I think it was like America's Got Voice or something. So this person should have like an awesome voice. That's what their career is built on. And the show was great. They were an amazingly sweet person, great to everyone in the meet and greet. The show was entertaining, even if it wasn't music that was necessarily my style. It was well done, blah, blah, blah. And I'm helping them break down. And I noticed, like, do you know what a MIDI keyboard is?
Yeah.
Just like a short keyboard you can program anything to. There was a piece of masking tape on it that said Vox. And then each one of those keys had a piece of tape that was the name of the song. And I was terrified because I realized that's all her vocals. So the guy that's breaking it down, I didn't want to be like, "Oh my God, is all her vocals fake?" So I leaned in and just went, is that where the Vox lives?" And he looked at me super defeated and just went, "Yeah, yeah." She just 4 clicks in on a click track and I hit the key. And I was like, that is embarrassing.
Yeah.
If someone sees this MIDI keyboard, it's like seeing behind the curtain. Like, you better pray no one reads those keys, man. Like, I was terrified for everybody. I was like, I figured this out on the first date. Please hide this better. Please, I won't say anything to anyone. I was immediately like, oh no, like you walk in on someone
Wow.
and you know something you can't unsee, and you just try to be professional. That was embarrassing. Or I won't name names, or bands that do the fake cabs. You know, we got stagehands lugging 4 double stacks out there, and none of them have anything in them. They're just big old branded box. Like, that's a little bit.
Yeah.
Check the
So I usually ask bands about a non-standard venue. Like Kiss played it on the back of a ship in a bay in Australia, the Sharks, and Metallica played in a dome in Antarctica. What
Yeah.
what is a non-standard venue that you would like to book some bands at? Like just take them to a piece of land and play.
It's kind of doable, but there's local prisons and asylums, right? I'm in Western Pennsylvania. We have Moundsville over in West Virginia. We have what is it, Pennhurst, I think, in the middle of the state. I saw Justin earlier today. We were watching. He showed me a stream of Motionless in White did a show in front of Pennhurst for the pandemic. There's a tattoo convention coming to Moundsville, I think, in this coming year at some point. So I think it'd be really cool to get bands into creepy abandoned cell type environments. And it seems kind of doable, right? There's people renting those spaces to events. It's not so impossible. Come on, kids, get on the phone, be inspired.
What made you decide to start Strike True Promotions?
Like I said, hanging out with Justin and a specific story where friends of ours run a band and they were put as openers on a pretty decently sized show thrown by a pretty decently sized company. And they were told, look, here's the tickets. You could sell them. If you don't sell them, you play last and you're still obligated to play and you don't get paid. If you sell all of them, we'll put you in a better spot and that's the money you're making. So I'm like, you could be in a situation where you've sold 0 tickets, you're not getting paid, and you're still obligated to show up and open a major bill for a major company and then just eat it and go home. That's it. And we thought, like, that's insane. We got to be able to do better. Within a couple shows, just by splitting the door till, we did. And sometimes we'd laugh and amongst us name this company and go like, man, thank you, X company, for setting the bar so low for some weirdos with a Facebook. Like, and we really want this to inspire others, and we want our ideas stolen, right? So like any kid with an email address and friends in a band, take the risk, dude. The worst that can happen is someone says no, and you just ask again. You ask someone else, and it just happens. It really is that easy. The big lesson is just please steal from us and just do it.
A lot of what I do started on accident, and
Right?
and somebody had an idea, and I tweaked it and went in a different direction with it, and it turned into what I've been doing since 1996. Actually,
That is awesome. That is incredible.
This is episode 655 of the Pennsylvania Rock Show, which started in 2004. So I had been working with bands even 8 years before that. Just websites and I started out with websites, then I started taking photos, and then it turned into podcasts and radio shows, and now I'm involved in Music from the 412, which is a video 24/7 365 music videos, if anyone's not familiar.
Yeah, congratulations on that. That's an incredible thing to have done. That's a really cool project.
I am kind of the I'm like the keystone. I'm holding everything. It's so hard. I don't want to sound. I have the man. This is no matter how I say this is going to sound conceited. So Rocky, the owner, and Ray, the associate producer, are doing a ton of work: editing audio, editing video, uploading, running the schedule. But I did the website, and I found the streaming company, and I figured out how to use the streaming. So the three of us had to be together, and it all had to click. But now I'm really doing the least, but their stuff doesn't work without my stuff. So that I hope that didn't sound conceited.
Oh, you accomplish it. It's good to be at the top, dude.
And there are, like I said, there are some more things coming there that I'm not going to talk about today, but just keep an eye on the website, Music from the 412, from the 412. I'm messing it up. Music from the 412.com. If you aren't going to remember that one, remember Build the Scene. There's links for it.
Absolutely.
So I was going, do you see that little scroller at the bottom of the screen says Strike True Promotions? So I was gonna put your Facebook page there, but you have one of those ones that's like profile equals question mark and all the numbers, and I'm like, nobody's gonna remember that. So how can people find you other than you can go to Facebook and you can type in the search Strike True Promotions and it will find it. But how else can they find you?
It's pretty easy. Like you said on the Facebook, Strike True. We just started on Instagram too, Strike True Promotions. There's a TikTok that'll be more active in the future. I'm Mike Fisher. Justin Rager is also at the helm. Imam Sweeney. You can hit up any of us directly. Absolutely.
That's who I hung out with behind Black Forge was Iman.
That gentleman.
Yeah.
Careful on that guy. No, he's been amazing. We folded him in this past year. Same with Kyle from Bloody Run and Everett from Anxiety at Best. Valhar.
I know Everett too.
They've stepped up and booked with us and promoted. They've been an awesome addition to the team. We couldn't do it without the small team. Phil Harold from the Green Beacon has allowed all of this. We want to thank him for sure as well. And he's an awesome guy, intelligent, good media presence.
So Everett's band, Anxiety at Best. I finally got to see them. I saw them at Cafe Ormsby, right up the street from 222 on the half covered Halloween 7.1.
Was that the Some Dynamis?
Yes.
Again, another excellent company doing excellent stuff. They've been out there now for years. I remember them back from Fallout Shelter days. They're grinding, man. They're out there killing it.
That was my first time at a half covered show, and it was so cool.
It's a blast concept. It's great.
The Sneaky Heat Missiles, which are like a ska band, covered Rob Zombie with horns. It was great. I have a video on my phone. I watched it yesterday. It's only like 30 seconds, but I was like, this is so cool.
Absolutely. Shout out Rick from Sneaky. He's a great dude. Taught me how to smoke cigars, not like an idiot. Taught me how to be a gentleman, correctly smoke cigars. He's a good dude.
We actually just added their music to the playlist. Is it 2 weeks ago? I think it was 2 weeks ago.
We got them coming up for a summer barbecue at Fubar, July 2nd, June 2nd. So keep your eye on that. That's going to be a blast.
Fubar is another fun band.
Great. Again, great humans, blast of a live show.
I had why am I? That's terrible. I've interviewed them a few times. And the last time they were on was when we got some bad news and shortly after. I did go to Brandy's and when they did a benefit after the fact for his family, and I hung out there for a little bit. That was a 2-show day. I was at a VFW. I can't think of where it was, but it was like 5 minutes from Brandy's. And who did I see there that night? I took photos. Why can't I remember?
Oh, it becomes almost impossible. I'll work a show, and that information is just gone.
I mean, Effect is in their name. I can't remember. And it's not Anxiety Effect they were on recently. It was Anxiety Effect. No. I can't remember. Anyway, when that band listens to the show, they're going to be like, Bill.
I'm like, come on. Shout out to you there.
There were 4 bands. I can't believe it. Yes, I can. My memory's shot. Anyway, I can't tell you that I took photos of the Molecule Party this weekend.
Oh, they look really neat. We've reached out to them. They're down to do stuff. We just haven't lined up a date with them yet, but we've definitely had our eye on them. And I can't remember her name, but the lady from that band has another really cool project called Lilith too. We've reached out to. So
yes, she has a very unique name, and I'm not going to attempt it.
It's gone right now. And within 2 seconds, I'll remember again. But there's just so much going on. It doesn't matter what genre you're into. Like the Western PA, Pittsburgh, Greensburg scene is incredible. Like just in this conversation, like there's all these bands are gigging. If you wanted to see any of these bands, you could see them in the next month if you wanted to. Absolutely.
Chris taking a shot at my age. Notice I'm not arguing.
Fair.
What man, like I know the first local CD that I ever listened to, and I know the first local band that I ever worked with. Can you pinpoint that kind of stuff?
The first local band I ever saw was a reggae outfit called Code Green at a spot called Moonflight. It was a coffee house that was a literal house
Moon Township, right?
By the airport.
Yep.
And then at a place that I don't even think exists anymore, I think it was physically destroyed, called the West Aliquippa Eagles. I don't know if you know, but there's a town called Aliquippa, and in the river there's a tiny island called West Aliquippa that's just a couple blocks that the prison is attached to. That used to have a social club that would throw shows. And these were like hardcore 50, 60-year-old like day drinkers in the front room and then shows in the back room. And it was not a space humans should have occupied. It was awesome.
So Christina from the Shadow event is piping in. She says hers was High Voltage.
What town's that in?
What's that?
What town is that in?
I think that's the band that she's saying was the first local band.
Yeah.
So I'm going to mention mine, but mine are a while ago. I don't know if I've ever really told this story, or if I have, it's been a long time. So I was in high school, and yeah, she says it's Pittsburgh.
Oh, word.
I was in high school, and I had one of those multi CD players in my bedroom, and it stopped working. And my dad grew up with a guy who worked on jukeboxes and owned a company called it was called Tunes and Tables. They had jukeboxes and pool tables that they worked on. So my dad took it to him, and he couldn't get it working, and it turned out he was in a local band, and he brought it back and said, "Hey, your CDI went bad. It's going to be cheaper just to buy a new one." And oh, here's the CD from my band that I'm in.
Slick.
But I couldn't play it. But the band was ZMW, Zanotti, Mraz, and Weber. The keyboardist and the guitar player were brother and sister. They were the Mraz. They were Zanotti. Mraz was the drummer, singer, and Zanotti was, Weber was the bass player, which was my dad's friend.
Word.
So they were the first local CD that I ever owned. I still have, I think, one of those songs in rotation on the radio station. It's called Right in the Nose off their CD Off the Rail. That I can remember, but I can't remember something that happened a couple weeks ago. And they were also the first local band I ever saw live because they played at my prom.
Yes. Where'd you graduate from?
Kiski area.
All right, word, yeah.
And then the first band I worked with was a band called Hybrid, and I still work with their bass player and the drummer, who are in Common Crown, Dimwit, After the Fall. Matt's in the Borstal Boys. He's in Super Monkey. He's all over the place.
Yeah, I've seen Borstal at Sub Alpine, and I know I've seen, does Common Crown run a billboard somewhere? I feel like I've seen they ran a billboard for a show that they were doing, because I know I've seen that.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
So Borstal Boys, their bass player Rocky is who I was talking about with Music from the 412. He's the head guy there. Christina says that High Voltage was from the 80s when she was in high school. So
yes.
If you're not familiar with the Shadow event, very cool band. Christina is the front woman of that band. And she has this really cool Italian last name. I believe is Santavucci, if you're going to say it with Italian.
Nice.
The best Italian accent that I can attempt. Santavici, something like that. So lots of band names coming up in this. Oh yes, and she and I share a birthday. She hasn't been here in a while. She used to ask questions. I'm gonna ask the question that she asked the last time that I remember. Usually it's a band that I ask, so again I'll tweak it a little bit. But if they were gonna make a cartoon that featured the people that are involved in Strike True Promotions, think like Scooby Doo when they have the when they do like Scooby Doo meets Kiss, and what cartoon are you guys going to end up in, and what kind of character are each of you going to be? This is Christina's fault.
I immediately imagined us as Ed, and Eddie. A gooned out, well-meaning crew of roustabouts. You know what I mean? Like that. That was my first vision off the bat. I mean, other than Scooby Doo, because we definitely roll into situations like that with the anything non-serious, anything where all the characters are helpless bumblers that are well-meaning. Yeah, I mean, some of us. If we were Scooby Doo, it would be like 3 Shaggies for sure. Like no one would be able to nail that down. There's like.
All right, so if the band wanted to get a hold of you, what's the best way for that to happen? And if anyone wants to come join you at the shows that we've been talking about, how can that be made to happen?
Best way is probably the Facebook. The Instagram's brand new. It's out there too. Strike True Promotions. And it's also, if you want to keep an eye on the Green Beacon socials, they'll probably post the most recent, like the newest way to come see us for sure. Like if you're watching this when this drops and you're checking the Green Beacon socials, that'll probably have the quickest way to come see a Strike True show. One thing we do that I'm super proud of is we do a pay what you can system, right? So there's a set amount at the door, and if you can pay that, we ask that you do. But if you can't, we will never turn anyone away. If you have pocket change, if you want to draw us a picture of your dog, you're coming to the show. We're not turning anyone away. That's like, I think what sets us apart. Like we want the bodies there. So if you're broke, don't feel embarrassed. Come out, draw me a picture of your dog, bring me a couple quarters. Doesn't matter. Just come out to the show.
Cool. I am not going to. I'm going to be a you and not mention any names, but I got to say, when I go to a show and it costs $3 an hour to park, I'm not in a good mood.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just kind of
steal parking. That's our vibe.
What was that?
They park illegally, steal parking. That's our pirate vibe. Definitely just take the risk. We'll pay your meter. If you get super hit at our show, we'll pay your meter.
I'm not sure what Christina is talking about. If she's talking to me or you. Just, can you contact me so we can discuss, please?
Yeah, either way, hit me up here.
Yeah, she's probably interested in talking to you about doing a show with the Shadow event. That would be my guess. I'll put you two in touch. Yep, absolutely. For shows.
We do bite, but reach out anyway. You still.
Well, Chris, she typed Chris. Mike, I want to thank you for hanging out with me tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you, dude.
You're welcome. And make sure you guys check out Strike True Promotions on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. And to keep an eye on Green Beacon's social media as well, so you can see what they have going on. See, that's her fault too. She had the cartoon question and she made me say Chris. But on a side note, Christina, it is nice to see you back. It's been a little while since you've been in the chat while we were live. Some pretty cool things coming up. Make sure if you haven't already, all of you, check out Music from the 412. Go to buildascene.com and check out our radio station. You can check out Friendly Fire, Three Questions and a Song, and this show as well, the Pennsylvania Rock Show. And I put some new numbers up on the front page, which hopefully will impress some of you. But it's like how many people come to the website, how many unique visitors, how many hits, how many shows we have, how many of them are live, how many of them are radio shows, how many are on Roku and Fire TV now. Lots of cool things happening.
Congratulations on it. That is super awesome.
Thank you.
Shout out to this work for the local scene, man. People like you are real important in this kind of stuff.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So Mike, hang out for a few minutes. Everyone else, if you're watching the video live, we're going off the air, but if you're watching it in Memorex, you have time to go to buildascene.com and check out the other episodes. And you can also, if you don't have a Roku and you don't have a Fire Stick, you can still go to Music from the 412 and watch the live video stream right there on the website on the homepage. So there's no excuse. You can go to Build a Scene, you can go to Music from the 412, you can go to First Angel Media. There are places everywhere where you can find out about the local music scene and go forth and do that. Those of you that are listening on one of the radio stations that I mentioned, or on Music from the 412 as a replay at some point, make sure you stick around because you're going to be watching some more and hearing some more of the best unsigned music that is in this area, and you may find your next favorite band.
Yeah.